Okay, everybody, welcome to this evening's ACY Securities webinar, live Forex market review. Sorry for the slight delay. If you're on our YouTube live stream, I can't see the chat, so I won't be able to answer any questions that you're typing in, but you're more than welcome to use the link that I put in the chat there, so you can come in and join us in the webinar, or you can just watch along through the webinar. All right, before we get into it, housekeeping, please read through this disclaimer. Hi, Stephen, how are you doing? Any questions to the question box or the chat box? So just please read through this disclaimer. If you're new to the webinar, then welcome. Some of you I see on there, I think we've been chatting on LinkedIn, so welcome. All right, so if you don't know me, then my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at ACY Securities, and I'm a full-time trader. I've been trading the Forex market now for more than 15 years, mentoring clients for more than 10. And if you want to contact me about the webinars, then you can email me on the email on screen there. Stephen, you're asking me how I am? I'm very well, thank you. All right, so anything about the webinars, just shoot me an email, duncan.cooper@acy.com. Through the week, you can connect with me on our website, acy.com, market news tab. You'll find my analysis there. At our YouTube channel, I should say, ACY Securities Australia. And you can connect with me personally if you like to on Twitter and LinkedIn. As well, through the week, you can connect with me in our Telegram channel where I'm providing analysis. Just contact Nathan Bray. His email's at the bottom there. I'll put that in the chat momentarily. As well, if you want to get access to my chart layouts and setup in the MT4 platform, then simply contact Nathan. He will set all that up for you. And as well, if you've got any questions about opening an account, anything to do with the account, if you've already got one open, then give him a call. I'll put his details in the chat right now. He will be more than happy to talk to you. All right, so his details in the chat there. All right, so that's the housekeeping. So let's just get into what is happening today in the news. And what could affect the market today? We do have the Eurozone main refinancing rate. So the interest rate decision for the Eurozone expecting 0.75 base points. I should correct myself, it's 0.75%, 75 base point rise they're expecting. Let's go back a day. Now this is, just because we're expecting doesn't mean to say it's going to come out. So let's just have a look at yesterday where we had the Canadian. I can rather go back a week, just go back a day. There we go. So 27th. Oh, it was on the midnight. Here we go. So it's at the top of my day here. So we were expecting 75 base point rise for Canada yesterday, or early in the morning, just gone midnight, but they only did a 50 base point rise. So just because the Eurozone is expecting 75 base points tonight, doesn't mean to say we're going to get it. So the markets will be pricing in 75 base points. Doesn't mean to say we'll get 75 base points. Then we do have US advanced GDP coming out 10:30 p.m. And then we have at 10:45 p.m. the Eurozone ECB press conference. Okay, so it's going to be very volatile from 10:15 to beyond 10:45, more probably through to about 11:30. The market will be assessing all that information coming out. All right, so be very aware of that. So ahead of that, we might be finding pairs a little bit quiet. So let's just get to the charts. Just going to quickly click through my charts and see what's going on. All right, I am a little bit reluctant to take a trade before the news comes out, but I'll talk about the levels that price is moving up and down from. You can make your own trading decision. So what I might just start with is go through the dollar index. And from the monthly look at the moment, Of course, we don't have too many days left for the month. We have today, Friday, Monday. I'll just double check that. Monday is the 31st, yeah. So we got 2.5 days left. We're negative for the month, failing at this resistance level up here, now 111.31. We're back below the 79% retracement of this major range. Is that now coming into effect? Of course, by the end of the month, doesn't mean to say we'll be negative by the end of the month, because whatever happens today in the news could drive the dollar index all the way back up. So that's not changing the trend, but we may well have a month down. I'm kind of half anticipating that maybe we will have a month down. So for example, pairs to the US dollar, like the euro dollar, pound dollar, Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar, we may have a month up. Now, will it be a long month up? We may just break the high of the current month that is. So when October finishes, we may trade above the October high, but then, you know, do we continue up, or are we simply going through the rigmarole of having a month up before we move back down with the overall trend? So the monthly trend, even if we have a month down, isn't going to change the overall structure there. The weekly here, if I'm using the major tops, then and forgetting these minor swing points, low and high here, so that's my major top, that's my major low. Then, you know, if I'm using that as my overall trend structure, we're maybe pulling back to the 79% level of that range. Okay, it's a little bit messy here with these minor highs and lows. Using the major highs and lows there, if I'm doing that, then I would say that the weekly trend is still structurally there. We could be pulling back to this weekly top here, this daily weekly top, and maybe just holding here at the 79% retracement on a pullback before moving back up. So structure-wise, that's worth monitoring. Do we simply pull back to that 79% level, overlaps with that old top there at 109.24? Does that become support for the next move up? All right, so we are seeing a little bit of a sell-off at the moment on the dollar, which means pairs to the US dollar are moving up. And on the other side of the coin, the S&P 500 is moving up. So stock indices are moving up at the moment. Notably, this is just moving up to some area of resistance here. All right, it's just having, if you turn it to a weekly chart, it's just having a corrective measure on the weekly. That weekly trend has not changed. It's still down. It's just having a, you know, just, is it coming up to put in another lower top? Lower top to lower bottom. Is it putting in another lower top? Is the dollar index pulling back to put in another higher bottom? Okay, it's just a corrective measure at the moment. The question in the back of the mind is, of course, if we do have a month down on the dollar index, is it just a month down, or are we going to have a further considerable month down? That's the question. So we're just going to have to wait and see what the next month brings, what tonight's news brings. There's a question, you know, could be, if I look at, for example, the pound dollar, which has obviously been very negative, and nothing has changed from the fundamental perspective now that we've got another prime minister. However, we have been positive this week, but as I've been discussing all month, we've been trading back up within the range of last month. We could simply have been pushed back up to the highest levels of last month before simply selling off back down the range. Okay, so, you know, can we actually have a month up? We're just trading inside last month. Can next month have a month up? So it's just starting to struggle a little bit at the 116 level of the pound. So a lot of pairs are looking like this. We've moved up this week. We're not having a month up, but we're getting up to the high levels of last month, or up to the high levels of this month, because some pairs have been down for the month before reversing. It's just simply moving price back up so that the bigger market can sell it back down again. It's like we're saying it feels like the pound is close, already reached its top. Well, it could have. I mean, structurally there in the day chart, we are up. But of course, when we move to, say, a weekly chart, it has moved through this top. But that top to me isn't one of the major tops. I'd be looking more for my, if I was looking at the overall trend, I'd be looking from that top to that bottom. You know, so this is still very much in an area of a rally area where we could start to top out. So but that is the range of last month just there. Now, day trend is up. So this is where it gets a little bit difficult at the moment. The high time frame trends are down. Stephen, you asked me, could we see pound for dollar? You mean parity? We could. There's been talk about that, but we'll just have to wait and see. That probably isn't going to come till next year, I don't think. I don't know if over the next 2 months, as we're heading towards Christmas, we can get down to parity. But into next year, maybe we could move down to parity. So it's a little bit difficult at the moment. If you're trying to trade a trend, what time frame trend are you going to trade? Day chart trend is up at the moment. This isn't an area on the pound, and this is kind of the same story for all pairs. I'll just start on the pound and talk about it. Is this could just be the larger market pushing price up to a sell area so they can reposition themselves for the longer decline. Okay, now that doesn't help if you're using the day chart trend to govern your trend, because this is up at the moment. So if we are feeling that the philosophy is that maybe this is just a rally and it's going to top out, then look to the 4-hour chart for structure and trend to start to govern a turnaround in this area. Yesterday's webinar, let me just move to the 4-hour chart. We talked about price imbalances. I talked about this imbalance up here. All right, I'm going to draw it right across here, or almost right across. There's the imbalance there. All right, you can see that we traded into the imbalance. We haven't got exactly up to the top. It doesn't have to get to the top, but from the webinar, if you were there last night, you should have governed from me that price will often move back into the imbalanced area. Often it will come up to the starting point. At the moment, it hasn't come to the starting point. It might not quite get there, but it's not the area where you want to buy, is it? So at the moment, be aware of that area. Structure in the 4-hour chart, this is still up. But one thing that's going to start to prick my idea up about maybe selling here is if this MACD crosses down, then I'm going to start to look for weakness to maybe trade down. We're already starting to fail on the 15-minute chart here at the 116 level. All right, is that starting to be resistance? We may just trade around the 116 level today. We may then, drift down and close below 116 today. If that 4-hour MACD starts to cross down, then that would put me in a much more comfortable frame of mind to think about, well, if price came back up and retested 116 could be starting to form resistance for the market. That's quite a high level at the moment for the pound relative to where it's been over the last month. Are we going to be starting to see the next move down? So not doing anything at the moment, just watching the 116 level. Do we start to see a price failure in that area? All right, I'm going to go over to the pound yen next. Now, pound yen, just to the day chart. Structure, it's an uptrend. We've been forming a resistance area up here where we're obviously struggling at the last 2 days. And we've got this larger area of what was resistance, monthly resistance. Can we hold above that level? So today, if you could drop down to your lower time frames, you're going to see that we have traded down to that level and held. So over the next, few trading days, does 168.72 this monthly top? Is it now acting as support, or are we going to be moving below that level once more? Is it going to be resistance? We are very high up. Trend is still up. I'm not going to short this unless I see a big false break of this top. All right. So be aware of the two levels, 170.09. That's daily resistance where we're struggling. 168.72 from that top. Is that now monthly support, or over the next few trading days, are we going to start to see a move back below that level? All right, 4-hour. In the 4-hour, we're seeing divergence, lower peak on the MACD as price has been trying to move above that daily resistance. And the 4-hour trend structure here is turned down. We've moved down to a lower bottom. So I'm just going to drop it to the 15. The 4-hour top is there, and we've moved down to that 4-hour bottom, which is here. So I'll draw a fib across that negative 4-hour range. Of course, at the moment, we are getting support here, but if you think we're failing at resistance for a move down over time below this monthly top, look to a higher fib level. Do we, over the next 24 hours, come back up to the 170 level, where you've got daily resistance at 170.09? Does that area get retested? Does price hold and fail for a move down? Now, I might not get up there. We may well, we are getting some buying pressure here at the moment at 168.72. Watch that level. If we break below that level, then tomorrow look at that level to be resistance. All right. Of course, though, we could be moving much, much higher. So you need to work out which side of this pair you want to be on. If you want to be on the buy side of this pair, you need maybe to see 168.72 get retested and hold. If that gets retested and holds once more, it's telling you the buyers that they're sitting wanting to move it up and through. Then, get yourself long. But of course, you need to watch 170.09 daily resistance where we're failing. Can price move through that level? All right. So 2 levels there that are operating quite clear for the markets. Resistance at 170.09. It's support at 168.72. All right. Of course, as well, tomorrow, I didn't say that when we're looking at the news, but we do have the Bank of Japan outlook report tomorrow, press conference. So, they may well further discuss market intervention. Yes, the dollar yen is definitely selling off at the moment, and so are the other pairs to the yen. They're a little bit more weak, a bit more to the weaker side. And that pound yen has been moving up because the pound dollar had a very positive couple of days. All right. Aussie yen. Now, it's not the nicest price action at the moment. Here we're looking at the day chart. Now, last week we failed up here at these old weekly tops across here. And that lines up with the 62% retracement of that range. I'm still favoring in my mind that whilst price action right now is rather choppy, we may have topped out up here. And I'm looking that we've moved down. We've rallied back to resistance 62% level. And we're potentially moving down this way. Now, if we start to see further decline on the dollar yen, that's of course going to help the Aussie yen to move down. This is struggling to move down because the dollar yen has been moving down, but the Aussie dollar has been moving up. So it's fighting that battle of the Aussie US dollar moving up to the dollar yen moving down. Which one's moving up or down the most? So it's a little bit choppy, but structurally, I'm looking at this kind of structure. If we do move above this top here, then I might change my opinion. Whilst that top is there and we don't really break that structure, I'm looking at that as the final top at the moment. For our charts, we have been trading down today. MACD is crossing down. For our structure here, it's still up because that's a higher bottom, higher top. All right. This would be nice if it structurally changed to down, and then you could look to sell a rally. This still looks structurally slightly up in terms of price, but yes, the MACD is crossing down. So as I say, it's not easier on the Aussie yen at the moment. It's a little bit up, it's a little bit down. It's not giving you a strong, clear direction, but from a higher time frame, I think the structure might be forming to the downside unless we take out this top here. All right, so whatever your setup is, we may, we were holding below 94.68, which is this daily resistance top that was. We've moved above it this week. We've moved back below it. So tomorrow we might find 94.68 becomes resistance for a further move down. All right. And on that top there, we did have divergence. This top here isn't really divergence. There's a very poor looking, is that a left shoulder head? Is this some form of right shoulder? So it's very poor looking, but because it's very choppy, but, are we failing here? If I do draw a range over this price action that's been forming through the week, we are failing at that 79% area. So have we failed here to move down in line with the high time frame trend that I was showing you. So just watching. I'd much prefer to see a nice clean 4-hour down structure forming and then look to sell a rally. And that might come like we move down. You know, you can draw a fib then across that range, and then it comes up and, you know, ideally your 62 level lines up with that resistance. That's then your area to look for a short for the move down. That would be how I'd like price to form. Whether or not we'll see that happening, we'll just have to wait. So that's what I'm kind of looking for. All right. Aussie dollar posted in Telegram today. We're going to see a failure at the 65 level. Now, yesterday trend is up at the moment, but we all know that the weekly trend is down. The monthly trend is down. Okay. Clearly down on the monthly there. That's a minor lower top to a further bottom. Weekly, look, lower bottom, lower top, lower bottom, lower top, lower bottom. All right, this is just corrective. It's a question of where's the correction going to finish. All right. So at the moment, the day is correcting up. We are trading within the range of the month. This isn't the month that we're in. So that's the high of the month. That's the low of the month. And what we have done, we look in this area on the 4-hour chart. There's all these 4-hour tops. That's the high of the month. Some tops here from September. We had this structure form, consolidation, breakdown. You know, we're at the 79% level of that range at the moment. Are we now failing at 79 for a move down? And I highlighted today in the Telegram that all these tops, if you drew the area in, it's pretty much where we have at the moment stopped at. Of course, we could move higher and move through the area, but does that kind of resonate as price just being driven back up to the higher levels where the sellers have been in control for the next move down? You know, have we just been seeing over the last couple of trading days, you know, a couple of good trading days up, just back up to higher levels. As I'm talking, I can see the pound moving down on my other screen. It's down at 115.70 at the moment. So it's, you know, it's failing at 116 there. So are we failing for a movement back down to retest the low of the month as we move into next month? All right. Slightly saying MACD looks like it's closing down. Well, it's got a long way to go yet this to close down on the 4-hour, but you know, that crossing down is going to make that much more of a significant 4-hour top. We've seen, and we can't go back in time. You needed to be, you know, watching and working out how you want to enter up here. We saw a trend line break, moving back below 65, trading 40 pips below there now. So hopefully we're looking at 65 there for a potential failure today. I posted that in our Telegram channel today. Now, of course, we could get support here at the central pivot point, move back up, but there has been a nice move down. So we could well come up for the further test, you know, over the next couple of trading days. We may well just consolidate up here at 65, as I say. You know, let's say we don't take out the high of today, tomorrow or Monday. That would be, you know, we're getting very close to the high of the month up here. Let's just go back to the daily. So that's the high of the month. We could, and it's worth, you know, just getting yourself set for the next month. That's the high of the month. If we don't take it out over the next few trading days, you know, we may well just see price come up next week to trade above last month's high and false break, and then trade all the way back down. So, you know, if that happens and you don't trade it, don't go complain to me, Duncan, I wasn't ready for it. I'm telling you now, I'm going to be watching 65.47 at the start of next week. What does price action do around that level? If it tries to move above and it can't commit above, then that could be where we're just having a month up and then we trade down for the rest of the month. Okay, so watch that level. All right, Slave, you're telling me you got stopped out at 65.16. Well, that was unfortunate. Now that it's trading down. But that's sometimes why things break. All right, so, the question is in this area of 4-hour resistance over the next week, do we form a final top? Do we come up for a final test to break above false break next week into the new month for a movement back down? Of course, we could move straight above that level and we're going much higher, but it's worth watching that level for sure. I mean, we may not even come back up there. We've still got today, tomorrow, and Monday. We could be all the way back down here by the finish of the month. And what I'm talking about right now may not even, may not even have to think about it, but we are very close to the high of the month there. All right, getting to the euro yen. Now, of course, we've been moving up through the month. I was hoping it was going to stop at 144 and it didn't, so I actually had a loss there. And 144 area did become support on these interventions. All right, but we are fairly overextended here at the moment. It is struggling, and that's actually putting in a minor lower top here at the moment. Well, of course, we've got the Eurozone interest rate coming out tonight, but it wouldn't surprise me to see this lower top hold and for price to start to move back down the range. All right, at least pulling back inside the movement of the month up as we're heading into next month. Not saying we're going to get a change in trend or anything, but we could obviously move back down to 144 once more. All right. Where it is at the moment anyway, for me, it's just way too high up here to be a buyer. I'd need to see some form of pullback to be comfortable about being a buyer on this pair at the moment. 4-hour, it is turning into a 4-hour downtrend like we were looking at on the pound yen. All right, where we put in the final high, we've got negative divergence on the MACD as well. So, and it's not perfect looking, but is that kind of a left shoulder, head, right shoulder over here? As I say, it's not perfect looking. Doesn't have to be perfect for you to make money from it if you can see a setup to trade where you think price is heading towards. We're fading up, or we failed at the 79% area there. We are below it. Is this now coming up to put in another lower top? All right, clear the 4-hour structure is breaking to the downside. We could draw. Now, I might use that final top to that low. We could be looking. When I got onto my charts this morning, about 9 o'clock this morning, my time, price was up here. It obviously failed. All these choppy price actions, buyers and sellers fighting it out, came up, failed, traded down. So, don't know what price will do when we get to the interest rate decision, but looking back up at the highs of the last trading day, at the 79% retracement area here with the central pivot, just watch that area later in the day. Of course, we're moving up at the moment. So dollar yen, I'm just going to see what happened on my other charts, my other screen. Dollar yen is probably moving up. Yes, it is. All right, so we've had a move down already today into the green zone of the pivots. And we know about the green zone of the pivots. That's where we tend to bottom out. Can we come back up to the 79% retracement? Just wanting to have a look at the 1-hour chart. My data will update. All right. So there's a couple of imbalances here on the 1-hour chart. This imbalance down through here. And there's a little minor imbalance. All right, we talked about imbalances yesterday, so hopefully some of you know what I'm talking about. There's an imbalance in here on the 1-hour chart. All right, that occurred today. Somewhere in there. More importantly, I'm looking at the top of the imbalance, so it doesn't really matter where it should be exactly. It's probably more like there. All right. But what I said to you yesterday was when I'm looking at the 1 hour, 50-minute charts and I can see an imbalance and I draw a fib across the range, then the top of the imbalance, which is here, will often line up with the 79% retracement level. And as well, if it lines up with the central pivot point, you've got a number of things there that price could paint a story where, you know, if it did get up to that level, it becomes a good selling level. All right. So for those at the imbalance webinar last night, hopefully that will make sense. You know, there is a bit of an imbalance from the 1 hour chart in here that price might move back into. And it's in the area where the 79% level is. Now, of course, just looking at price action right now as I'm talking, maybe we can't get up there because, of course, we've got the 147 level there. That price is just testing. Look left. There's a 4 hour low here lining up there. So maybe, let me just clear off that imbalance. Maybe we're just coming up to fill the 1 hour imbalance here. So the 1 hour imbalance in this area is there. All right. And there's the 1 hour imbalance. And there is a 15-minute imbalance just there. There's an area where price dropped. The next candle didn't trade up into the area to meet that candle low there. So, and then we obviously, we made another imbalance here, another imbalance here. So price is coming up, filling those imbalances. And look where it stopped. That's pretty precise, okay? So there is a further little imbalance up here that could get filled on the 1 hour chart, but maybe we'll have to wait to see what the news brings later in the day. All right. There is a very minor on the 50-minute chart. There's a very minor imbalance up here too. Just there. All right. So if, you know, if we can get up to the highest level up here, back up to the highs of yesterday, close to, and you start to see price action holding there after the interest rate decision. Have we just right up to where all the sellers have been starting to position themselves to move this pair down? Okay. Structure in the 4 hour chart, that's in a downtrend. Euro dollar. Here's your day chart look. That's this is the range of last month. So we're just trading back inside the range of last month at the moment. Where are we failing at, people? 79% level. Daily resistance to the left here. Now, when we get the volatility coming in from the interest rate decision, it's nice that I did a webinar on imbalances last night, so then I can talk about something new that I see on the charts all the time. We got that imbalance. We discussed this imbalance last night. Cameron, you were asking me, can we fill that imbalance yesterday? Of course, we did move higher up into it, but we didn't quite get to the top of it. But, you know, this is the same imbalance that I discussed on the pound dollar. We're trading into the same imbalance. We don't have to fill the whole imbalance. Just be aware that when we are targeting that imbalance and trading into it, yes, we could trade all the way up to the top of the imbalance, or we just trade into it. But this is an area where price action can often fail. Okay. So if you know that, it shouldn't be an area where you want to be buying into. It's an area where you want to be taking profits into. Okay. We've got this structure here as well. Let me just block it out. We're starting to trade back below that structure. So top of that structure is 150, okay? And we discussed these other imbalances last night. Price could well be coming back down to fill those imbalances on the 4 hour chart. Now, 4 hour trend is still up here, and the day chart trend is still up. But as I've been saying, I don't know if the last couple of 2 days is simply price getting driven up to where the sellers want it to be before we move back down. Because before the drive up of the last 2 days, we were simply holding at resistance down here. And probably a whole bunch of stops have gone off. You know, people were short at resistance. A whole bunch of stops have now gone off to drive it up because they think they're wrong. Up to the next area of resistance, look left here. There's resistance, 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 resistance. Okay, and then we've got that imbalance on the 4-hour candle. So this, and we've got the 79% retracement. This could well be where we're topping out. And 101.18 is a monthly resistance from back in time. It was a level of support that we broke below. See how we, you know, these drives up that I'm talking about today. See how we drove up here? And you think, okay, the day chart trend's turned up. What does it do then? It drives up, tries to break through resistance. The high time frame trend is down. And then we reverse back down. This is, to me, maybe the same exact thing. We're driving up to resistance. The day chart trend is turning up. And then everybody's going, okay, it's going up. But the high time frame trend is down. So this is just going against the high time frame trend. Is this where we're topping out? So when the news comes out tonight, back to the 4-hour chart, you know, we could get up to 101.18 depending what the news brings. That would be pretty much close to the top of that imbalance up here. I think the top of the imbalance, let's have a look. It's around about 101.27. So let's just call it 101.20 area. You know, price gets driven up to 101.20 today. Then it starts to move back below 101.100. Then, you know, are we failing at 101.100 for the next move down? Now, of course, we might not get driven up there. It's already selling off at the moment. Is the market already positioning itself for a move down ahead of the interest rate decision? All right, now, irrespective of what happens, this is still in an uptrend at the moment. So start to look for, if we are failing up here, look for 4-hour structure to start to tell you that, yes, we are moving down. Does the MACD cross down? All right. You know, we could move, you know, down to retest parity once more. You know, over the next few trading days, we could move down. We could have a kind of relief rally back up to retest 10050 area. That's the area of resistance here. For then, you know, the start of the move down. That's if we're failing up there. Of course, by the end of the day, we could be at 10200. We'll have to wait to see what the news brings, but it does look a little bit like a false move up now. It's not able to hold above, you know. If it's moving above structure here, and the buyers are in control, we should be holding above the structure, and we're not. Cameron, you're saying you see order blocks too at these imbalances where the dealers seem to be driving the price too. No, it's true as well. You will often get an order block where, you know, where the imbalance is. So no, it's not a coincidence. Price has definitely been driven up to where they want it to be, to, you know, an imbalanced area or an order block, or, you know, the fact that we have this structure here, we've got a number of, you know, different tools that we can be using here to try to work out where price might be going over the next few trading days. You know, we'll have an imbalance here. We have structure here. The fact that we've broken above that structure, that's the market searching for liquidity. Price breaks above there. Retail traders, if they were short, are buying. Some retail traders are buying because they think it's going to the long side, whereas the institutions are sitting there with their sells, just waiting to take the other side of the trade as those buy orders are getting executed. So that is where you will be finding liquidity at the moment above this area of structure. And yes, you've got the imbalance. And you were talking about order blocks. If we go to the day chart, your order blocks here. All right. So we have an order block. We have an area of liquidity. We have an imbalance, you know, the smart money concepts that I've been taking you through over the last 3 weeks. All those things are there. Price has been driven into an area of liquidity. It's filling an imbalance, and there's an order block there. All right. So are we actually topping out there to move back down? So watch, you know, after the news, do you see something that like you like as a setup to maybe trade it down from the area? lots of information there saying maybe we are topping out. All right, we covered the pound crosses to the New Zealand yen. Day chart, very much like the Aussie yen, price action is a little bit horrible. Have we rallied? That's last month's range. Have we rallied all the way up to the 79% level, failed at weekly resistance from over here? I'm anticipating we're moving kind of down, rally, down. All right. It would be great if it came back up to retest 86.21 again. You know, that would be a great area to look to structure a sell if it could further move up, but maybe it's had its day and it can't get up there. If you move to the 4-hour chart where it's not looking, hasn't quite broken into a downtrend on the 4-hour, but if it starts to break into a 4-hour downtrend, just look to sell a rally on the 4-hour chart. You know, of that move down, we're failing at the 62 level here. All right, so if it starts to show a nice trend, a nice drop, rally, look to sell a rally. At the moment, it's rather choppy, but I'm anticipating that maybe we've topped here for a move down next month. Luther May, you're saying on the day chart, can we take the OB and the PI as a confluence to trade down? Well, it is a confluence, but it doesn't mean to say that you're going to be 100% right. What we're seeing on the euro-dollar day chart there is an order block, so that could act as resistance. There's a price imbalance that we could fill and hold at to trade down. So there's a confluence of things there that are saying that we're in an area where the market could top out, but then you need, what is going to be then your setup to initiate a short or a sell to the downside. So yeah, there's an order block there. There's a price imbalance there. So then, okay, that's telling me, that's informing me that there's an area there where we could reverse down from. What setup are you going to use to say, okay, to tell you to take the trade? Now you could, let's go back to it. You could simply like the area and it'd be nice if you could sell higher up. But if you could sell at the top of this resistance here at 10.50, you could put your stop at 101.50, 100 pips above. Or you wait for, 4-hour structure to change. We move down. We maybe come up and put in a lower top on the 4-hour to give you a reason to sell. So you could sell on the basis that you think, okay, we have top there, stop maybe 100 pips above. Or you wait for some other kind of setup to tell you. I mean, we are failing. You could trade the 79% setup, 79% setup on the day chart. We're fractioning below it at the moment. The 79% setup would be trading at the 79% level, stop above the high. That would be quite a large stop. That's probably more like 150 pips. But you could sell at the 79% level to stop 100 pips above. And as long as that area is going to hold, you're then looking to trade down, back down to support down here at the 95.35 area. All right, so it's definitely a good area where we could be failing. Yes, there's a order block, price imbalance, but what setup are you going to trade? You could be trading the base of the order block from a day chart perspective. Base of the order block is the low of that blue candle. Stop would need to go above the candle. All right, so that pretty much lines up with the 79% trade as well. So the order block trade would be trade the base of the order block, stop above the high. It's quite a large stop though, but yes. All right. On the 4-hour chart, in terms of that order block, it's much higher up, so you'd have to refine things. All right, I think we covered enough there on the euro dollar. Hopefully that helped you. All right, Slav, we will look at gold as we get across to that level. Cover the pound, cover the New Zealand dollar. We have false broke above the high of this month that we formed here. Day chart trend is up, but are we false breaking that top today? If we finish today, the weekly trend, where's the weekly trend, people? It is down. We're just rallying up at the moment. All right. And the high of the month that was, which is a day chart resistance level, we are at it at the moment. We've tried to move above it today. Are we going to see a false break at that level? too early to tell. I know that candle looks like a false break, but by the end of the day, we could be above it. So let's just maybe wait and see what the day chart tells us tomorrow morning when the new candle starts. If we clearly see a rejection, let's say we're rejecting below 58.13 come the start of tomorrow, I would most definitely then look at, let's say we finish, I don't know, down at 57.70. Look at 5800 to 58.13 to be a level of resistance to trade down from after that false break. All right. Now, I think that's what I really want to say on that. I mean, we could over the next few candles pop back above 58.13, 58.13, or, at the moment, 58.13 to 5800 could be support for this pair today. All right, but the higher time frame trend, like the weekly and the monthly, is down. We're just having a corrective move up at the moment. So are we seeing a false break? But this area could be support, the central pivot points there. This could be support for a move up today still. All right. I'm not that keen to be going long anything at the moment because I just feel like everything's just moved up to a higher level. All right. So I'm a little bit more on sitting on the fence and waiting to see, are we actually having a false move? But your frame of mind might be different. You might be thinking this is going much higher up, like on the day chart. We could be coming maybe up to this weekly level of resistance all the way up at 60.47. And that's 200 pips away. So your philosophy could be, okay, I think we're going to have a much deeper rally. So how can I structure myself to trade that rally? So on the the figure, maybe that is broken resistance to become support at 58.13 to move higher. You have to decide for yourself now. Do I think this rally mode that we're seeing is going to continue and I want to be on that side of the move? Or do I think this is just a short-term rally and I want to start to look for the next opportunity to trade down? It is a little bit difficult on some of these pairs. Are we seeing a continued move up into next month? Or has it already topped out? All right. But if we do finish with a very nice rejection candle by the end of the day, that will probably tell the story. Canadian dollar, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Is that what's going on? Weekly trend, if we're using the big turning points, is still in an uptrend. There's your higher bottom to the higher top. Of course, as I've been saying for the last few weeks, it does not like this resistance area at 137.15. That's weekly resistance, 137.92 monthly resistance. The day trend, and that is a lower top, but I'd need to see this low break. This could be a double bottom. So, if the pairs such as Aussie dollar, New Zealand dollar are going to start to move down, this is probably going to move up. Is this a double bottom for me? Is this getting on its back foot to have another go at moving up to retest resistance? All right. If we move below 135.02 over the next few trading days, then we're probably moving back down to this level of weekly support at 132.23. Okay. It's in a very difficult area here at the moment with all that resistance up there. 4 hour. My update on my charts is coming through very slow tonight. All right. You might start to see a 4 hour uptrend structure here, showing that double bottom at 135.03. To trade to the upside, but at the moment we don't have that. But at the moment I would just be sitting on my hands waiting to see, is this going to start to hold a support? Do you see a 4 hour structure to the upside that you can start to trade? Okay. We've got the US GDP figures coming out this evening. But, this could break below that level tonight, or of course we could start to come up and form a 4-hour uptrend. Let's go to, we'll go to gold, and then we'll come back to dollar yen. Gold, I covered this today in the Telegram. If you've been following my thoughts on gold, we're below monthly support, so I'm kind of calling that resistance now. Are we having a long-term move with this double top pattern to the 1300 level? Weekly trend, it is down. Day trend, it's a little consolidatory here. Slavia is saying it seems to be failing at 166.48. Well, yesterday got a fraction short of 116.76. Be nice if it could test that level and hold and fail. 4-hour. And the 4 hours in an uptrend at the moment. So you're saying it's failing at 116.66. My charts aren't updating as nicely as I would like. Let me just refresh my chart a few times. Don't know why, my internet connection or something. And a very hot day here on the Gold Coast. All right. Now I've got, I don't have an uptrend. We have a lower top forming. So let's keep refreshing. These charts should be updating instantaneously, but they're not. All right, so I'm breaking it down into this lower time frame. Clearly over the last trading day, that 4-hour top here, this area here is holding. You know, it'd be nice to be trading down from the 116.70 level, but of course price isn't there. It looks like it is starting to break down now on the 4-hour chart. You just have to work out how, you know, where do you want to enter? How do you want to enter? I mean, you could be entering now, putting your stop above yesterday's high. You could be entering now, putting your stop above this resistance level at 1670 that seems to be holding. All right, we do have the news coming out, so it is a little bit dicey. I think once the news comes out, you know, you want to watch between 1670 to 1676. Does price pop up, hold and fail? Does definitely look like we're failing from up at that level over the last couple of days. It's just, what are you using for your setup? We could have a fib drawn across that top to there. 79 levels up here at 1671. So this whole area up here, if we were to have another rally, that would be a very good area to watch for failure. You could, you could be selling. Where's my thing not drawing? There we go. Now we could come up to there, stop above, get your stop above maybe 1676. See how it goes. It definitely looks like it's starting to break down. At the moment, it looks, you know, like it's wanting to trade and deal below 1676. You know, yesterday couldn't get there. With the pairs to the US dollar moving up, this was obviously moving up in line with that movement. Looks like it's just moved up to resistance and starting to fail. So does it offer you a higher level to, you know, catch that sell? All right, slab. And we go to the dollar yen now. So we've got the dollar yen policy statement coming out tomorrow. Interestingly, we have been selling off and we're coming down to all these daily chart tops here. Is this support for a whole move back up? You know, the BOJ can definitely come out with something tomorrow and we see this heavily sell off. They could come out and do their statement and then later in the day do another intervention and keep the progression of this downward movement going. So it's not in a great area though to be a seller right now if you already haven't sold, because there's all this day chart support. I'm using this area from over here, 144.99, so it's pretty much the 145 level. So we have broken last week's low, we've been very close to where we traded down to today. We traded down to 145.10. So I do watch 145. Yeah, now if we can't, in fact, I have to wait for my chart to refresh. I don't know why my chart's so slow tonight. They're not normally. All right. So we're getting some form of reversal down here at my daily levels of support. But all that we might be seeing is a bounce. So structurally on the 4-hour chart, 79% level overlaps with 147.68, which is probably from my monthly chart as a monthly level of old resistance. So there's 4-hour resistance there at 147.51. So if the 4-hour chart structure is just going to remain, looking to sell a rally within that structure would obviously be more than favorable. 147.70 is the 79% level of that 4-hour range. We do, of course, have the bodge tomorrow. So do we want to be opening a position there on the dollar yen and be in it when the bodge presents its information tomorrow? Slav, you're asking me they've been intervening relentlessly. You're saying you thought 145 was their target. I don't know what their target is, to be perfectly honest. I think what they're trying to do, generally speaking, is to stop speculative trading going on by retail traders to keep this moving up. They want it. Of course, the dollar yen is in an uptrend, and the interest rate differential favors a higher dollar yen price. But what is the high price? Where should it be in relation to that interest rate differential? But obviously, the Bank of Japan definitely feels like 150 is like the danger zone. That's the ceiling. Where the floor is, I'm not quite sure. But yes, 145 could be the floor when we're looking at daily supports. Are we going to be trading in a broad kind of area between like 145 and 150 over the next few months? If 145 is the floor, let's say we come down over the next couple of days, for sure, I've got my day support where there's a considerable amount of day tops there at 144.99. So that is the floor that you're talking about. If we see a number of tests down here at 145 and it starts to hold, then that could be definitely a good level to be a buyer. And we might see a move back up to 150. And you might not be too concerned about an intervention if that's the floor. Of course, at 150 going long, being a buyer at the higher levels in the 150 area, there's always that concern of intervention, and you've just bought and then they intervene. So maybe we are at the lower levels where you could start to acquire a position for a move back up to 150 and not be too concerned about Bank of Japan intervention. But we'll just have to wait and see what they say tomorrow. Because the last time they intervened after their policy statement, they were saying that they didn't really say that they were going to intervene like immediately. They just kind of talked about the idea that they may have to intervene if price dictates, and then a couple of hours later they intervened, just like that. So they don't give you a very clear idea about what they are doing. They're a little bit aloof. They kind of talk about it, but they don't say they're going to do it exactly, and then suddenly it gets done, and so we will have to wait and see what comes. But I'm going to start to watch down here. 145 starts to hold, maybe 145 is the base. Might be able to structure a trade up close to that area. All right, but do be aware it's still in that newly formed downtrend. We may just rally back up within that 4-hour structure and start to top out for, maybe we're seeing a continued move down. I know I'm talking about maybe we might just get 1 month down on the dollar index, but it may become clear next month. Maybe we're going to have a heavy month down on the dollar index. So we'll have a heavy month down on the dollar yen. Now, the likes of the Aussie yen, the New Zealand yen, as I've been saying about their structure, they're kind of looking structurally like they might be wanting to move down. So are we going to see a further decline on those pairs to the yen? We'll just have to wait and see what the Bank of Japan brings tomorrow. All right, I think I've covered all the pairs I normally cover, so that's what I'm looking at the moment. Of course, we've got coming out, if you're coming in late to this evening, we got the Eurozone interest rate decision at 10:15, 10:30 before the US, we got advanced GDP. So I've given you some levels to watch that I'm looking at over the next couple of days, but they could get touched after the news events of the day. Got the press conference for the Eurozone at 10:45. And yes, tomorrow it will be sometime in the afternoon of Queensland and New South Wales when the Bank of Japan does their thing. So they're even aloof. They never give you an exact time either when they do their press release. So always a little bit, bit, I don't want to say shady, but, it's always nice when a central bank is clear and precise. You know exactly what time they're going to deliver their information, and you have confidence in what they're saying. All right. When you have a central bank that isn't quite like that, life becomes a bit more difficult. All right, everybody. Let me just quickly head to the webinar page next week. More market analysis next Tuesday. Next Wednesday, we will be... All right, that's Tuesday, the 1st. Wednesday, I'm going to be reviewing the market, looking back of last month. What was the structure? What patterns did we see setting up? May have been some nice resistance trades to the downside on some pairs. We'll review those. Well, this current month that we're in, that's obviously going to be ending Monday, has not been the easiest month. We've had half a month down, half a month up. We've had the volatility of the UK and what's been going on there. So it hasn't been the easiest month. So I'm got my fingers crossed for a much better month in November. I'm hoping that we are topping out right now, and we're just going to have a nice month down through November. Nice clean price action showing a clear trend. But, you have to trade the market as it presents. So, and you always have to, have stops, manage your risk. So not every month can be the greatest trading month, and hasn't been the greatest trading month in October. I think, what was it, July and August? For me, I had exceptionally good trading months. We had exceptionally great trends, clear trends, but this month hasn't been that easy. All right, everybody, so that's what's coming up next week. If you want to join me, simply register your interest and come along and see me next week. All right, everybody, thanks for your questions. Have a great weekend. Stay safe wherever you are. If you're in Gold Coast or Brisbane, it's probably going down the beach on the weekend. It's hot here. It was like last week was cold. It was like still winter last week. And suddenly it's like red hot summer. It's just like gone from wearing jeans and shirts to just shorts. So wherever you are, hopefully the weather's good on the weekend. Stay safe, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks, everybody.